Hey guys, another day on the treadmill. Feeling pretty good today. Slept about 7 hours last night with no breaks. Well, not sure I did wake up, but I went right back to sleep. So that was lovely. And as many people know or experience themselves, not only is sleep critically important, but we all have different sleep patterns. And so I've always been grateful that up until I had kids, I slept 8 hours straight every night, and that was a beautiful thing. But I don't think that's ever going to happen again, since that's been about, well, I guess 19 years since my son's about to turn 19. But you know, at this point, if I get 6 in a row, that's good, and then I get another little chunk. That seems to be enough to get me through the day, so that's great. So pretty good today. Took out the trash because it's trash day, and jumped on the treadmill. Got here about 6:55, which I was pretty happy with because that means I'll be wrapped up shortly before 8, and just doing my work. You know, I mean, it's interesting when depending on what activity you choose to do. For me, the treadmill, I can get other things done, and that's the goal for me, right? Not to add. I don't have the luxury quite yet of adding new exercise activities to my day that's just exercise. And I know it sounds insane to most people, but I enjoy exercising. I don't enjoy walking on the treadmill per se. If I wasn't doing something else, I would find it extremely boring. But but in general, like, I enjoy going to the gym and working out. That's sort of more mental, honestly. I've gotten the benefits of the physical, but the mental is the piece that's always been important for me. And I think for my chemical levels of my normal brain, the chemicals I get from working out are helpful. Let's put it that way. There'll certainly be more about that one day in the Real Talk with Kimberly section. Anyway, so exercise is helpful. I'm not sure if I get that chemical boost when I'm just walking versus running or lifting weights. But I am getting the physical benefits, obviously, both cardiovascularly, and posture, core strength, just from being standing and moving. And just movement. The problem with all the sitting that I've been doing is not only, all sorts of negative things for your muscles, for your tendons, for your ligaments, but also the chance of stroke. I have felt like not lumps in my calves, but like I have an awareness of a particular spot in my calf, and I think to myself, could that be, a blood clot? Because I was doing so much sitting when caring for my mom, and then essentially what happened is, because I had to care for her, that took up all the time that I wasn't spending on sleeping and working. So essentially it was, when I say care for her, most of the things were also sort of sedentary. So I was sitting all the time, and I was cutting things out of my life that were movement oriented, not just exercise, but just like a normal day-to-day life activity, that I might do just for leisure time. Those things were being cut out. And so all that sitting, I think, is the most detrimental thing that happened during these years. So blood clots. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Blood clots. I've had at least 4 people on my dad's side die of heart-related conditions at 60. Just boom, they're gone. And my dad only had, what was he? He was one of 6 kids and 2 parents. So, that's 8. I can do math while I walk on the treadmill at 2.5 miles per hour. So that's 8. So, half of their family died at 60. My dad died at 73, and he wasn't an exerciser until his last years, but his job was an active job, not overly active, but on his feet for most of his career before it became computerized. So, so it's a very real, anybody can get a blood clot and have a stroke, but it's a very real possibility, that I could be dead in 8 years from not moving, I don't even have to run. I don't have to lift weights. Just movement could keep me alive. So, now granted, my grandma died my mom always told me this, while she was mopping the kitchen floor. So it's not like she wasn't moving at all, but whatever the case, sadly my father didn't talk about his family much. So it sounds crazy, but I'm having to learn about as much as I can my family's history on my dad's side from Ancestry.com and just looking up death certificates. In case you didn't know, just a little tip, my library, just from having a library card, gives me access to my state's records on Ancestry.com for free. So just logging into Ancestry.com through a conduit through my library, and I'm able to get, not all records, but like certain, death certificates, birth certificates, census reports. I can't remember. I don't know what else. I haven't had time to look at it all in detail, but I've been looking at it and then going through death certificates and looking at, okay, what was the cause of death? Okay, what does that giant word mean? And that's after you can try to read somebody's handwriting, on it and look up the medical term. So, not all of that. And then there's primary versus secondary cause of death. And, a lot of people, it's written on their death certificates that they've had a heart attack. I can't remember the medical term for that. Or cardiorespiratory failure? I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story of what was going down there. And I don't know if they were overweight. A lot of these people passed away either before I was born. Actually, I knew my Uncle Merle, and he wasn't overweight. He looked like he was in pretty good shape. I don't know if they were overweight. I don't know if they lived active lifestyles, because you can not be overweight and also not live an active lifestyle. My brother is one of those people who, he will always be slim. It's just how he's made. He's older than me. He's 54, almost 54, and he was just always skinny, no matter what he ate, and he doesn't exercise, and and now he's slim. He filled out a little bit as he grew older, but he's slim still. So looking at somebody doesn't tell you how healthy they are, really. I don't know if my ancestors smoked. I don't know anything, and most of his family has passed away, except for people in my generation, and that, they have similar, knowledge as I do, maybe a little bit more I could delve into. Anyway, the whole point is, let's talk about death. Now, the whole point is, movement is number one. Not sedentary, and move. So just, keep that in mind, whatever level you're at. If you're having a hard time, if you're having a hard time standing because of whatever health conditions you might have, work on standing just a little bit more. If you stand perfectly fine and you have trouble walking, just try to walk a little bit more and just build up or conditioning. I like that word in relation to our health or our physical health, because we're conditioning our bodies. We can, get better and better and better with just little micro steps. And that's all we're doing. So start wherever you are. And that's great if some people want to run marathons and can. And that's super duper. I have no desire to do that. I have no desire to run fast. Even when I did 10Ks, I didn't really care. It was a social event, really. I really didn't care what kind of speed or time I got. So just do what you can do. Start where you are and go just a little bit further. And hopefully through this process we'll work together and we'll look back on this time and be like, amazed by how far we got by just making little micro consistent changes. Start where you are, micro consistent changes, always be moving. that is the message for today. Hope you have a super duper day. I will see you tomorrow.